Welcome to Expat Hoops, the podcast where we talk to basketball players who have played professionally overseas. Today we talk to Chris Lofton. Chris played for the University of Tennessee between 2004 and 2008 before starting his pro career in Turkey. He's played in Spain, Russia, France, and South Korea throughout his career, as well as a stint in the G League stateside.
But before we talk to Chris, I want to remind you to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time we have new content. Now, if you'll join Tony and I in welcoming Chris to Expat Hoops. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Wanted to briefly take you through a little bit of your time going into college. You were Kentucky Mr. Basketball in 2004. Famously not recruited by Kentucky. Would say in fairness that they had about like 5 guards coming in. So you had a coaching change after your freshman year from Buzz Peterson, who recruited you, to Bruce Pearl. Briefly compare and contrast their styles.
Different style. Buzz is more of a slow down ball, I would say. At the time we had Brandon Crump, and him and Scooter was, the main focus on offense. So we, did a lot of throwing the ball inside a lot, and that was that. But like with Bruce, it was more up tempo, more transition, fast break, which suited me a lot better, and we got out in transition and ran a lot, and Bruce liked shooting threes, and that was right up my alley.
And so was that kind of like part of the re-recruitment pitch, is essentially saying that you're going to get your shots, that we're going to run a little bit faster and everything like that? Was that like super appealing to you and saying, all right, I'm in the right place?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I thought about transferring, going back to closer to home, probably like Louisville, Cincinnati area. But I talked to Coach Pearl, and, he showed me films of his offense, and it was like, why would you leave? You had to sit out a year, and, this is perfect for you. And, I did a lot of praying, and it was best for me to stay at Tennessee with Coach.
So you win SEC Player of the Year your junior year. You have a great year. You average over 20 points a game in the SEC. Take us through the process of when now you've returned for your senior season, and the difficulty that you had in between that off season, and getting back into playing basketball after your junior year.
It was difficult. I was diagnosed with cancer 2007. So I was, I had radiation, and I couldn't eat. I lost like 20 pounds, and, it was a difficult time for me because, like you said, like 2007, I just come off like a high. I was an SEC Player of the Year. I was, playing at a high level, and, I thought, I was, was going to go to the NBA and, have a great career there. But, it just all came crashing down when I was diagnosed with cancer. That summer, 07 summer, I went through radiation, dealt with a lot of, stomach pain and all the things that happens with, cancer during the radiation. And then going into my senior year, it was difficult because like I had missed working out all summer long and a lot of preseason too. And I just could never get back to where I was that junior year. And it was difficult. But I started playing better during the SEC season, my senior year in 08, but it was never the same. And it was difficult for sure. But, I looked at it as God don't make mistakes. So I know that was for a reason. And now looking back at it, people still to this day, like message me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook and ask me questions about cancer and how I've helped them, and that I respond to them and give them encouragement and, tell them the things that helped me through that all. And, I look back and I realized what God was doing is, using me to help other people. And really that's what it's all about, helping others.
And so in between, you try to get back going with Tennessee. Walk us through the process of then going pro after that senior year that you had. What was the calculus that you had? You said you never quite got back to the level you had junior year. What were you looking for in terms of opportunities, and what was coming to you, and your eventual decision to go to Turkey?
Well, I played in the summer league for Denver Nuggets, but really never got in the game. So that NBA dream was kind of over then. And, I talked to my agent, and he had a good situation for me in Turkey, which I was scared to death to go to, go to a foreign country for the first time for that long. And I tried to not do it. Like I kept putting it off and kept missing flights, and I was just like, man, I'm not doing it. But I prayed about it, and God finally told me to get on this plane, and it was the best decision of my life, honestly, just because I look back and I've played overseas for like 10, 11 years now, and I've got to see the world and continue to make great friendships and just be able to bless to play basketball all over the world, for that long. And it's been a great run for me. Hopefully it continues, but we'll see.
So one of the things that you kind of mentioned off the pod was we were talking about, like, before you decided to, after your junior year, you were going to try to test the NBA waters, and did it without an agent. Take us through a little bit about your decision once you graduated and everything to try to find an agent. Was that a process that you found easy, difficult? Were there people along the way that kind of helped you pick the right agent, or was that something you just kind of found out on your own?
Yeah, my coach Bruce Pearl helped me out. He knew a guy. He was close with a guy, and he's still my agent now. And it was different. I talked to a few agents, but this one really, I could tell this one was really interested because he flew to Knoxville to meet with me. Other ones just talked to me on the phone and text messages. This one actually flew to Knoxville to meet with me, and I thought that was big. To really show that he really wanted me, and we've had a great relationship ever since.
So one of the things that, you started in Turkey, and you talked about, jumping back to that, you weren't sure about, getting your career started. You weren't sure that you really necessarily wanted to go to a foreign country. Take us through a little bit about that. Like, I know you said you prayed to get there, but what also was kind of going into your thought process of, okay, I'm going to do this. And also, how long did it kind of take you to get a little acclimated to going to a foreign country?
I mean, I'll say that first few months were tough because we wasn't playing games yet. It was straight practice twice a day. We were in a hotel for training camp, and Wi-Fi wasn't good, and it was just it was rough, man. It was
it's a common problem.
yeah, it was rough. It was tough. I was calling my mom and dad, like, I don't think I'm going to do this. I'm going to come home. And I remember my mom and dad, especially my dad, was saying, "Oh, well, if you come here, don't think you're just going to lay around the house. Like, you going to get a job. Like, me and your mom gonna get up and go to work. You think you're just gonna be laying here asleep? That's not gonna happen." And it really, like, I thought about it. I'm like, I really don't want to work. I do have it good over here, getting paid to play basketball. So I stuck it out, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad my parents really forced me and made me stay over here.
From an on the court perspective, playing in Turkey, what was that like for you after playing? You played in the SEC. I mean, that's about as good as it gets in terms of experience of college basketball before you go pro somewhere. So what was that like? What was the learning curve like playing in the Turkish league?
It was different. Just the style of play, that's when I first learned about flopping. They flopped a lot, and it was kind of frustrating. I remember for my first practice, dude that was guard was flopping. I'm like, I'm not even touching you. Why are you like jumping and all that? So it was like, and they would call fouls, and I didn't even touch him. So that was hard for me to get through at first. But the basketball was good. I mean, it was a high level. I was in Turkey, one of the best leagues, and I got acclimated. Probably midway through, I would say. I was used to it, and it was fun. That's probably my favorite place I've been is Turkey.
Interesting.
Yeah, see, you played in the SEC. The traditionally flopping, that's usually ACC.
So next off, you went to Spain, actually kind of with two teams actually the next time. So take us through the decision to go to Spain, what your experiences were like there, and take us through that.
Yeah, Spain was it was fun. So after being in Turkey for 10 months, I didn't want to go back to Europe that quick, So I waited around, passed on some offers, and this team in Spain, there was a good team in Spain came and offered me. It was a 2-month deal because one of their players got hurt. He broke his ankle and he was coming back from rehab, and they just wanted me there until he got better. So I was there for 2 months, and it was a great experience. I didn't play a lot, but the team is big. It was a great organization. A good team to be on, and it was fun. It was fun being there. It was kind of tough not playing a lot, but it was what it was, and I did that for 2 months, came back home for like a month, and then I ended up going back to Spain for a different team that was in Madrid, called Estudiantes. And Madrid is probably my second favorite city behind Istanbul that I went to. So that was fun being in Madrid and playing in Spain. And it was exciting.
The top
Absolutely.
league. It's a very competitive league there, I
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
How did that feel playing in Spain against pretty tough competition?
It was good. It was fun. Like, you had to bring it every night. Those Europeans are real good, smart, and it was a challenge for sure. You had your ups and downs, and you had to be ready to play every night.
So in the early part of your career, one more thing. I know that you mentioned that you said your NBA career, your NBA dream had been dashed earlier. However, you came back stateside after your time in Spain and you played for the Iowa Energy in the G League. So what was your calculation there? How did you feel about doing that? Did you feel like you're getting a second chance at the NBA?
It was fun. I was just tired of being over in Europe that long. Those time in Europe is long. It was, I wanted to be in stateside, and I went to the Iowa Energy, and it was fun. You played a lot of games. You just, the travel was different, and eating on the road was different, but it was fun. You played probably 3-4 games a week. You were traveling a lot, and NBA scouts were there watching, and I had some great games in front of some scouts. I didn't get the call up I wanted, but it was a fun experience for sure.
Talk to us a little bit about how that difference that you had. You talked about eating on the road and stuff like that. What was that difference with the G League as opposed to what you experienced before?
I mean, when I was in Tennessee, we were spoiled. We flew on the plane everywhere. We ate good. G League, you might stop at McDonald's, Wendy's, Subway, and you hit that bus for 10 hours. So, it was a different lifestyle.
And that actually, I wonder how much that's changed over the years. I mean, even just a short period of time, the G League's gotten a lot more investment last few years. So I wonder if that's changed a little bit as well since the time you played.
I bet it has. I mean, that was 2011. So yeah, that was 10 years ago. So
yeah, it's hard to believe.
It had to be changed by now.
Yeah. So I go to Russia, next stop after that. That's got to be a little bit of a even though you'd been used to going overseas, Turkey, Spain and everything, that's got to be a little bit of a different experience.
It was different for sure. They had a player that wasn't playing good at the time, and they told me straight up, they was like, we don't know if you'll play, but we want you here like for insurance backup. And I was like, cool. And the money was so good, I couldn't pass it up. So I leave the D League and go to Russia. And it was cold. It was rainy. It wasn't fun, but I met some friends there. I made some friends. Great organization. It was, and really, honestly, I was getting paid to work out and train because I wasn't really playing a lot. I was training with the assistant coach and the strength coach in the weight room, and it was fun at first, like knowing I'm getting paid just to work out and train. But as time went on, I was like, man, I want to play in games. Like, this is getting old. So eventually, they let me leave. I think I was there 2.5, 3 months, I want to say. Maybe 2.5 months. And it was a great experience for me to, knock off another country off my list.
And so you end up back in Spain after that with Estudiantes, as you had for a short stint, and then another time in Spain as well. I want to kind of blend this with another experience because after you had that Spanish stint, you had a 2-year contract with powerhouse team Besiktas, which is probably the most notable team. I'm not going to say the best team because of your time in France coming up later, but the most notable team to our listeners that you've played for. What was that short stint like in Spain? How did that help you get that contract with the big time team in Turkey?
Yeah, the short stint in Spain was, that's when I was having back problems. So I would go there. I went there for like 4 or 5 months. Then I came back to America and had to get my back worked on and try to get it back right. I tried to avoid surgery, which I did, and tried to go back to Spain. And, I played, but just back kept getting worse. And then I eventually had to have surgery. So I had to sit out a whole year, do rehab and get back in shape and do all that. And then, so my first year I played in Turkey was a city called Mersin. And that coach got the job at Besiktas. And he calls and tells me that, I know you had back surgery. We're going to bring you here on the trial. Like, a couple of months, see how you do. If your back holds up, we'll sign you for the rest of the year. So I'm like, it was a great team, great city, Istanbul, my favorite city I played in. And I was like, no brainer, I'm coming. So end up playing there, playing good, and they signed me back to another year. And, probably, my favorite years, one of my favorite years for sure in those 2 years in Istanbul.
Yeah, you can't turn down Besiktas when they come calling. That's a pretty big deal.
For sure.
Although your next stop is not too bad either. That's France. That's Le Mans. and that was a great season too. You're the French Cup champion, French Cup final MVP. So not only individually, but as a team, you're playing in France. Tell us about the next season after Besiktas.
Yeah, it was fun. And that first year in France, that was the first time I've been there. Actually, the relationship I had, so the GM at in Besiktas when I was in Turkey ended up being the head coach in France. So he calls me and is like, "We need you." It was like a couple months into the season, and he's like, "We need a 2-guard, and you would be perfect." And I was on my way, and that 2016 year was fun. Met a lot of good friends I made, and I still talk to this day. And it was an amazing experience to being that close to Paris, where I could just hop on a train and get to Paris in 45 minutes and come right back. And it was fun being in France. Absolutely.
So after you have this successful season in Le Mans, you go to Lithuania for a period in 2017, but then you come back to Le Mans afterward. Talk to us about that period.
Yeah, so I go to Lithuania, 2017, for I think it was January to May or June, and that place was it was definitely an experience. And it's the first time I've been in the gym where in the wintertime where they don't turn on the heat, so it's freezing cold. You travel by bus, it's raining every day. It was an experience. It's probably one of my least favorite places I played. Just because the weather was raining, it was cold. I mean, it was in the May and it was still cold. I still needed a hoodie on, and I was like, this is not me, But 2018 was just probably my best year, special year. Just the fact that we won that championship. We had our ups and downs that year. We started off hot, then went on a losing streak. I remember spraining my ankle real bad, so I missed a month and a half, and it was frustrating. I was playing so well, and then I sprained my ankle and I'm out a month. I kept trying to come back early, so it kept making it worse. And going into playoffs, we had lost 4 or 5 straight games, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And it was we just clicked at the perfect time. And our run was outstanding, and it was special. And that was probably my best year for sure, just playing wise with teammates, and bringing that championship home back to Le Mans was very special.
And so actually the last stop on the journey so far, at least internationally, was in Seoul with the Knights. Take us through what that experience was like and how that came to be too, because a lot of the stops that you've had have been in Europe, and then you jump over to Asia. How did you wind up managing to do that? What was the experience like? And would you go back to South Korea? As I'm sure the answer is probably yes.
Absolutely. South Korea was fun. Asia is different. At that time, Asia usually takes big men, especially South Korea. But for that year, there was a rule where you had to have one American guard that was 6'1" or under, and you had to have a big man that was 6'7" or over, or something like that. It was a crazy rule. And my agent's well connected, and he called me and was like, "Would you be willing to go to South Korea for a few months?" And I was like, "Absolutely." The pay was great. This is Asia. I've never been. Another place to knock off my places been to, and it was fun. We played 2 or 3 games a week, and just being in South Korea, their culture. So I was in the main city. They had great food, great places to go, and it was fun. You see a lot of Americans over there too. Army bases over there. So I met one of my old Pee Wee football coaches was over stationed at the time. So it was good to catch up with him. He came to my games. We went to lunch, and it was fun. I definitely would go back though. Absolutely.
Thank you for watching this episode of Expat Hoops. If you want to watch more, you can find suggested videos or 2 over here. Also, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell. You can subscribe easily over here. Subscribing helps us and allows us to do more cool stuff to bring to you. Speaking of which, we're also excited to announce some of the new things going on over our Patreon page. So if you become a member over there, you'll get to see some of the cool new extra stuff we're doing to add to our viewer and listener experience as we chronicle the stories of basketball players' experience around the globe.